Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another retro RPG. And at the end of another week and the end of another poll, we've got an absolutely resounding win for Space 1889's Steppelords of Mars, a book which I'm going to have huge problems pronouncing the names in, because not only are they not a language I know, they're not even a human language, they're Martian names, so I'm going to make massive mistakes here. But anyway, I'll be back at the end of the video with some more about the poll, some more about the channel. I hope to see you there, but otherwise let's go over to the desktop and have a look at Steppelords of Mars. So this is Steppelords of Mars for Space 1889. Now it came out from Games Designers Workshop in 1989, so 100 years after the date of the game, but the same year as the game was released. Now I always thought that the game was a spin on the Space 1999 science fiction show, the name of it. But I'm now starting to wonder, because it came out in 1989, whether it was actually just 100 years previous, but also a play on the TV show. Anyway, this is a sourcebook covering the steppes areas of Mars, so the wastelands outside the cities. In Space 1889, Mars is like the Victorian belief of Mars was, where we could see lines on the surface and people thought they were canals. So in Space 1889, those are canals. They were manufactured by the canal Martians to connect their cities, and they trade along those. So they are the cultured Martians who are being contacted by the nations of Earth, and their cities have kind of been taken into the British Empire and the American Empire, etc., etc. But the area outside the cities is controlled by the hill Martians rather than the canal Martians. And these are a lot more savage. And instead of having high-tech air floatwood boats and things, they ride beasts. Now, this area is only slightly detailed in this book. We'll see as we flip through. There's not actually that much background information. It's not much of a source book. There's a lot of adventure in here, but not much source book. But let's have a look at the back. Since the arrival of humans on Mars, the steppes have been an area of mystery and danger, a place to be crossed by canal or by sky galleon as quickly as possible. Recently, however, the steppes and their inhabitants have become more important. Steppelords of Mars is a source book to the Nepenthes-Thoth Steppe, a region of vital importance to the continued survival of the British colony on Mars. It also contains an adventure set upon the steppes, dealing with a hunting expedition that turns into something more than beating the bush for steppe tigers. Once the breadbasket of Martian civilization, the canals are silted up, and the steppes have returned to their former barren state. Where once they produced food for millions, the steppes have become home to a paltry handful of nomadic tribes, roaming a sea of parched grass and low scrub. The region called the Nepenthes-Thoth Steppe is bounded on the west by the Asidus Desert, on the south by the mountains of Shiskomik, on the east by the Shaptath Alcyon Canal, and on the north by the equally hospitable steppes of Neath. Possessing over 42,000 square miles of steppe, the region is larger than the Earth countries of France and Germany combined. There are no mountains to speak of inside the steppes, only a few arid hills break the monotony. The area is one vast rolling plain stretching from horizon to horizon, rather like the North American Great Plains. And that's obviously a reference because the hill Martians are very much Native Americans. But anyway, other princes on the steppes' edges make no claims to sovereignty beyond a couple of days' ride from their city's walls. But the ruler of Shaptath claims the steppes as his own. When Shaptath became part of a British colony, a few hundred square miles of the steppes officially became British territory, but Shaptath is now in rebellion, and the British presence in the steppes is non-existent. The Prince of Shaptath supports the Oinotrins against the British, but the nomadic tribes have remained largely neutral. Your actions may determine what happens next. Can the steppe tribes be persuaded to join with the British, or will they become a dagger pointed at the heart of the British colony? So, basically, that's what the adventure is going to be about. We'll see as we flick through it, because I don't like to go into too much detail with adventures, but the players go out as part of a hunting expedition but it turns out to have a hidden meaning for the British government, where they are trying to contact these steppe Martians, the steppe lords, and bring them in on the British side against the canal Martians who have rebelled. As usual in these things, the players will have a chance to befriend them or make enemies of them and become part of the tribe. Now inside, the artwork is absolutely lovely. Games Designers Workshop at this period were doing some fantastic work, and I really like this line work. It's very reminiscent of Dungeons & Dragons elves, but obviously the Martians have winged ears instead of just pointed ears. But it's really nice stuff in here. We've got the introduction, which goes through the history of the area, the geography. We've got political divisions. We've got a nice map of the area. We've got different animals, the predators. So we've got Lurex, Tishuans, Zonors. We've got different scavengers there, plant eaters, which make that area their home. We've got traversing the steppes, so we've got random encounters. You might encounter scavengers or bandits, predators. You may encounter various the Gans Willoy patrol, scavengers, plant eaters, steppe tigers. And then we go into the riders of the Nepenthes-Thoth, the composition of the tribe, their roles in society, going through the warriors, the freelances, the chiefs, the lords, outcasts, their territories, the routine of nomadic life, the government and how they rule themselves, their rituals, their conceptions of war, ritual combats, what weapons they use, their diet. It really goes into a lot very quickly and briefly, giving us a wide range of information, but only very, very shallow. What their clothing is, history, mystery, and honesty, the language, what caravans pass through the area, their attitudes towards humans. And it says that their attitude towards humans are very much tied up with their views of strangers. They do not draw a distinction between canal Martians and humans. Both are seen as non-nomads. So they really don't care who you are, just that you're not part of their tribe. Their taboos, treatment and exception, adoption, renown. We got into the adventure, so we get into the steppes. And it's very brief. I'm going to go over it, but we go over the settlement that people are starting in, that they're hired by a hunter who's a Foreign Office diplomat to protect him as he's going out into the steppes to hunt. But as I said, this mission turns out to be more secretive for the British government to try and bring the steppe lords on board. Go through members of his family who are coming along, the personalities, and we go through the detail of it as what happens during the first week, during the second week. Then they find a hole in the ground and explore a tomb buried underneath the surface of Mars. How they encounter one of the nomad braves and befriend him. Following him and meeting up with the tribe. And as I said, they have chances to befriend the tribe and become part of it and bring that tribe in on the side of the British. Or perhaps the player characters will be American and won't be on the side of the British. Perhaps they'll want to sabotage that mission. So we've got the layout of the nomad camp, detailing various things you might do from it. So pillaging, snap election for a steppe lord, the cavalry camp of the canal Martians as they march out to war, the aftermath, your initiation into the tribe if that happens, the adventure's conclusion, and an option of further adventures on the steppes. And we've got the appendices, the city-state of Shaspai. I can't pronounce that at all. Soldiers' companion organisations. And then on the very back, we've got an advert for the board game Temple of the Beastmen, a Space 1889 board game. So that was Stepplords of Mars, and that won with an absolutely resounding 44% of the vote. way ahead of everything else in the poll, because even Sovereign Stone only came in on 19%. So way more you wanted to see Steppelords of Mars. Or so you say. I'm sure you guys are just messing with me now, because when I put Steppelords of Mars into the poll, I deliberately said that Space 1889 wasn't particularly popular in the polls. We've had books come and go before just because nobody wanted to see them. But then this absolutely romps home, so I think you guys are just messing with me. Anyway, with that out of the poll now, I've replaced it with Shadowrun 4th edition. Now, I've covered the 1st, 2nd and 3rd editions on the channel before, as well as doing rules breakdowns for them. But I've covered a bunch of source books. But this is the 1st edition, which isn't by Fazer. So I think it'll be an interesting look to see how the game developed after Fazer had licensed off the Shadowrun license to other companies. In this case, it was WizKid Games. Anyway, I think I've whittled on for quite long enough as usual. So thank you very, very much for watching. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.